and welcome to this second video, which follows on from the one I released just the other day, which I entitled my, in brackets, Ultimate MikroTik Failover Solution. This is just following on from that, as I touched on in that video. The topology we were using a static route for our primary and then a PPPoE for the secondary. So we had static gateways set for each interface that we could then apply the scripts and then the failover mechanisms to. So this is going to show you how to do it if we were receiving a dynamic gateway rather than a statically set one, because we don't necessarily know what the next hop is going to be, if it might change if we get a new IP address. So just a brief overview of the topology. Very simple. We've got two internet connections from ISP 1 and 2. One is delivered via, this time, a DHCP client on interface 1, and on interface 2 we've still got that PPPoE connection. But the difference between this one is we got the dynamic default routes on the interfaces. So let's go ahead and jump on our MikroTik. So this is as it was from the end of the last video. So again, link in the description, link on the screen. Please check it out first. So I won't go into too much of the detail here, but what essentially we've got is we've got a user interface which is on this bridge. We've got Ether 1 and Ether 2 is our WAN 1 and WAN 2. We've got PPPoE client which is running off WAN 2 or Ether 2, and then this one is a static one. So if I just bring up our IP addresses, we've got a static IP there, and this one is dynamic. However, we load up the PPPoE, you'll see I've unchecked the add default route. So in our routing table we've got this primary route and this secondary route, both static and both have comments or names for primary route and secondary route, which is then what is used by the scripts to check, which is triggered by a Netwatch. It doesn't sanity check by pinging. What we're using is Google's DNS, and pings further 10 times before it initiates the failover, and it does that failover by finding the route that has primary route, and then the failover is basically done in reverse with this second script which runs via this scheduler, which gets enabled, and then when it can eventually ping back out of WAN 1, we're back up and running. Okay, so clear those for now. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of these two routes. Okay, we're going to add under our PPPoE, we're going to add a default route this time, and we're still going to set it to a distance of 2. So then that will populate in here again. There it goes. As you can see, I can't comment on these ones because they're dynamic. And then what we're going to do, because I've got a DHCP server running on this one, I will go ahead and add a DHCP client, Ether 1, and this time add default route, yes. And here we could specify the distance, but we're going to keep this as 1 because it's our primary. And then you'll see this PPPoE goes blue, which is now our backup. So that's all well and good. So now we're going to alter our scripts to be able to match. So we're still going to be pinging out of the Ether 1 as our primary. None of that changes, but what changes is we're going to now set the distance. But we can't set the distance on the routes because it's dynamic, so what we have to do is on the DHCP client. So where we alter it is under this one here. So this one can go, because we're gonna specify it, because Ether 1, I call it WAN 1, but Ether 1 is our primary. That's the one we're going to adjust the distance to. And now, if you ever, like I mentioned in the other video, if you're not familiar with MikroTik scripting, please check out my website in the description below, where it's got a brief guide to beginning with net scripting in MikroTik. But it's a real skill to have if you're if you use MikroTik a lot. It adds a lot of value and additional features that wouldn't necessarily be there by default. So, but to find what command you want to run, it's easy just to test it out in a terminal window. So we're going to go for, so it's a DHCP client, so it's under IP, DHCP client, and we're going to set, and then you can always double tab, and it will tell you what we're going to set. We want to set this default route distance. We're going to set that to 3 this time, just like we did for the other route. And then what we want it to apply to is, as you can see here, it's already got Ether1, which is the interface. So we don't have to do anything with the give it a special name or identifies anything else, because that's the interface that the client's running on. Just to confirm that, I'll just delete that, and if you just do print, there we go. So that's the interface that we've only got one running. Okay, so we'll go ahead and copy that now into our script. Now, if our PPPoE was, for example, was our primary, and we wanted to affect that route, that's under interface PPPoE, which we can basically find by going to the menu here in Winbox, and you can see it's under interface. So it's going to be an interface within here. So we're going to affect our interface PPPoE client. Again, we're going to set, and we're going to it's the default route distance again, and we put 3, and again if we double tab, there we go, that's our name of our PPPoE out 1. But because that's our secondary, we're not going to worry about doing that. So hopefully that makes sense. That's just an easy way of knowing what syntax to use, and then everything else is going to be default. So the only thing we need to do is add that same line here. As you can see, we've got that same in this backup one, which sets it back to be 1. Again, a run through of this is in the previous video I mentioned, so I would definitely recommend checking that one out first. Make sure I've got my / there. There we go. Okay, and again, paste that in there, but instead of 3, we're going back to 1. So let's check that out. So if we apply that. So nothing else has changed other than those. We're now using these dynamic gateways here. So if I now jump onto my upstream router, which is where these are routing through, which I'm going to be able to just from there up and down interfaces. As I mentioned before, I'm not actually killing the interface between the 2 routers. What I'm doing is killing the IP address that's sitting on my development router, which is going to be using as the gateway. As you can see, it's got picked up that gateway here. Okay, so then we stop that, and then we just wait for, grab a ping. Going. Oh, got an error there. Why did our script execution check network failed? Please check. Okay. So something in here has failed. Oh, there we are. I've put a random / at the end. Let's try that again. So all I've done there is killed my network because it hasn't actually failed over. So hopefully that. Disable that and re-enable that. Okay. Let's re-enable the interface. Okay, so we've got pings back. Disable it again. Ping stop. Okay, now it's got down. Went down. There we go. Primary's down. Change the DHCP client. It's changed the scheduler. It's disabled that network. And it's pinging again. And as you can see, our now default route is going to have PPPoE. Okay, so that still works the same as we expect it to. Let's go ahead and re-enable that and let it fail back. There we go, here's their backup. And we've gone back to this as the primary. Okay, so as you may have, if you hopefully have seen the other video, you'll notice that I've got these two other routes here. Now, these are, again, these are primary, these are static routes. And again, this is assuming that we know what the next hop is going to be. But based on what we've done here, we're going to assume we don't know what these are. So to get around this, what we need to do is inject here to the static route the gateway that we get from DHCP. So to do that, we'll just bring up our DHCP client again. Now, because we've already selected to get a default route, and over here we're going to do distance 1 by default. In here we've got the option to add another script. Now what this script is going to do is every time there's a change happens to this client, so if it gets disabled, re-enabled, if it renews its IP address, we want it to tell us what the gateway it gets is when it gets a bound, so when it's successful. So if it can't get an IP address, we don't want it to keep making any changes to our routing here. So what we do is I will bring up the script that we're going to use. I'll just copy this into here and just explain what it's doing. That's annoying. I kept this format. As I mentioned in my other video, when I do scripting, I like to do this in a different text editor, just because it's a bit easier than in Winbox. Log info and IP. Okay, so what we've got here is an if command, or an if statement, which when we there's basically all the variables we'd get from a DHCP request from a response. So we can do things like the IP we get, the subnet, mask, the gateway, the lease time, etc. And one of them is this bound variable, which is either going to be 1 or 0. So if it's 1, it means that it's been successful. So if it gets a successful lease, we're going to set this variable GW IP, so gateway IP, to be the gateway address, which is another variable we can pull. I've got it here just logging what the IP is, but that's mainly just while we're testing to make sure that we're getting the correct one. So you can take that one out afterwards. And then it's going to update the route so it's going to set the gateway of the route, which has this comment, which primary check. So back on this route here, I'm just going to comment. We'll call it, make sure it matches, primary underscore check. Okay, as you can see there now, it's called primary check. And we will just change this to be 22, something completely different. So what you'll see is, okay, that's gone to 22. Now if I apply this, and then we disable it and re-enable it, you'll see down here there we go, so it's put the log in there, and it's updated this now to be 1. So what this means is, because we're getting this route, this default gateway route dynamically, we're assuming we don't know what it is going to be, so we can then have this update this route here. So this is the route, as if you see the other video, is what we use for once we've failed over, so we can continue to check that IP address is reachable via our primary, which is going to be Ether1, which is there. So the immediate gateway is Ether1, and in fact I had this other route in here, but actually that's technically not needed, so it wouldn't be needed in the other one either. But obviously no harm in having it, so let's get rid of that. Okay, so we've got everything ready to go. So again, we can just do one more last test. So let's just get our schedule back up. It's disappeared for some reason. System scheduler. Okay, so that's disabled by default. So now all I do is jump onto our upstream router, which we can break our connection with. So I'm just going to disable the interface. So then that we should see that go down. Which we do. It should run this script here, which then should, if it fails 10 times, which it should do, it's going to see, there we go, that's enabled that. And then, there we go, we've failed over. So now we're now routing out the primary, out the secondary, sorry. I'll just do to confirm we've still got internet access. Good. And then we'll just do a trace route. There we go. So that goes to the gateway of the PPPoE connection. And let's just file it back again to confirm that this route here is working. What it should do is it should file the routes back. So the PPPoE should go blue. We should disable this scheduler. That was done. This has been enabled again. There we go. And we failed back again. And we can still ping. Good stuff. Okay, so hopefully you can see the differences in the two slight changes in the two scripts. But all we're doing really is the changes are what we're updating. So in the first one, because we're using static routes, we're updating those static routes. But when we're getting our routes dynamically, we're just making sure we update the correct. If we were to be using our primary as the PPPoE in the script, instead of set the DHCP client, as I mentioned, would be set in the interface PPPoE client. So yeah, well, thanks for watching. Again, if you've got any questions on this, or if you've tried this before and it doesn't work, or if you think there's another way of doing it, I do have a couple more failover options, which I'm going to hopefully explore in the next coming videos, just to give a full sort of snapshot picture of what you can do for your failover. But it's really about trying to be as not overcomplicated, but not as, as being as clever as you can with it, because you don't just want things to not fail over because the mechanisms are too simple. So by this, hopefully there's enough checks and scenarios where it should fail over and fail back, because that's the key thing. It's often easy to fail over, but it's the failing back bit you want to happen, because as I mentioned, if your second connection is a 4G or another little slower connection, that you may have a limit to how much bandwidth you can use. And if you're doing a lot of streaming and videos and things like that, you'll be churning that bandwidth up, and all of a sudden you'll get you may get a big bill at the end of the month because you haven't realized you haven't failed back to the primary connection. So trying to avoid those sort of scenarios is key. But other than that, please check out my website if you want to step-by-step guides for any of the videos, or any videos I haven't made yet. There's guides on there. Any ideas you've got, or want to comment on any articles, please feel free. Comment on this video, or just like, subscribe. It does mean a lot. Makes me want to make more videos, and see you in the next one. Thanks.